So my presentation is entitled Cutting Down the Black Panther Party. So my main thesis here is the CIA and FBI destroyed an important part of black progress with their concentrated dismantling of the Black Panther Party. Before I dive into my supporting arguments on why I believe the U.S. government destroyed an important part of black history, I think it is important that I give a brief rundown on who the Black Panthers were. The Black Panther Party was a political organization that was designed to challenge police brutality against the African American community. Founded in Oakland, California by Huey Newton and Bobby Seale, it peaked at around 2,000 members and was influential in a variety of different ways, including providing several different survival programs, providing food, clothing, and transportation. So my first supporting argument when it comes to my thesis is the CIA recruited other black people to supervise the party.
My recruitment by the FBI was very efficient, very simple, really. I'd stolen a car and went joyriding over the state limit, and they had a potential case against me, and I was looking for an opportunity to work it off. And a couple of months later, that opportunity came when FBI agent Roy Mitchell asked me to go down to the local office of the Black Panther Party and try to gain membership. We tried to develop negative information to discredit him, just like we did everybody else. We, meaning the FBI, I tried to come up with signs of him doing drugs or something, and never could. He was clean. He was dedicated. I've had private conversations with him.
The Black Panthers had fortified their office. FBI informant O'Neill was now head of Panther security in Chicago.
And I remember walking out of the office and looking through a little clearing over on the next block, which was right in front of the Monroe Street address, and seeing a lot of police cars over there. And at that time, Bobby Rush came to the office. He had just come from over there, or maybe the coroner's office. In any case, we walked back over there, and we both were speechless. We just walked through the house and saw what had taken place and where he died, and it was shocking. And then I just began to realize that the information that I had supplied leading up to that moment had facilitated that raid.
When listening to that clip by FBI informant Willie O'Neill, several things jump out to me. First of all, it is worth noting that O'Neill was able to be the head of security for the Panthers in Chicago. As he said, when the Panthers were tightening up their headquarters due to violence with the police, O'Neill was still able to be around. This gave the FBI a huge leg up on what the Panthers were doing in Chicago, and it became easier to use their tactics. To me, what makes this argument so important is the fact that black informants definitely were able to learn more and more about what goes on inside the party because they were black and were easier to be trusted by other Black Panther Party members. To add on to this, a 1978 New York Times archive article by Seymour M. Hersh went in depth on how the CIA used black people to keep an eye on the party. The article mentions that their effort ranged from the photographing of suspected Black Panther Party members in the United States to the infiltration of Panther groups in Africa. It also states that one agent reportedly managed to gain access to the personal overseas living quarters of Eldridge Cleaver, who was a Panther leader who set up headquarters in Algeria in the late 1960s. Although not all FBI informants were black, it is reasonable to think that their efforts as informants had some of the greatest impact on the fall of the Panthers. Moving on to my second supporting argument, it is the Panthers became priority number one for the FBI after J. Edgar Hoover called them the greatest threat to the internal security of the country.
The Black Panthers are recruiting criminals and hoodlums and encouraging them to engage in a broad range of terrorist activities. They are the greatest threat to the internal security of this country. We want to make it clear to black youth that if they want to be revolutionaries, they will be dead revolutionaries.
Although the clip we just saw was from a movie, with J. Edgar Hoover at the FBI helm, his agency had a laser focus on the Black Panther Party. This all came through CONTRA-PRO. This was a series of covert and illegal projects that were conducted by the FBI. They were done to take down different domestic American political organizations. I was able to take a look at a book entitled The CONTRA-PRO Papers, Documents from the FBI Secret War Against Dissent in the United States. This is a book written by Ward Churchill and Jim Vanderwall that was first published in 1990. This book contains many of the first-hand memos that were used to put operations into place. On the screen here is a memo that was put into order to take action against the Panthers. Notice how the words violence-prone and extremist are used when describing this party. There was a complete lack of awareness by the FBI when it came to some of the good things the party was doing that we had mentioned during this class. Because J. Edgar Hoover made it known about the Panthers, they expedited the process, in my opinion, of taking the party down.
Young students from 4th grade all the way through to PhDs. And usually the questions that people ask me was, where did you guys keep your guns? Why didn't you like white people? I think still in schools we're still recognized as a black nationalist hate movement. And there was never hate. As a matter of fact, one of the things that drew me to the Black Panther Party is that they loved the people so much. That in order to do that kind of work, in order to be that focused, you had to really love the people.
What the FBI did to the party further proves the sick and twisted racism that was around during that time, in my opinion. As the clip talked about, many times people asked Black Panther members, where'd you hide your guns? This is because the education system does not teach the Panthers as a group who did anything good. It strictly goes off what the FBI thought about the Panthers. They thought they were domestic terrorists who were a complete threat to the U.S., and this stems all the way back to J. Edgar Hoover's laser focus. My third and final supporting argument is the fact that CONTOPRO was not only a way to spy on the party and dismantle it with secret informants, it also fostered violence that the FBI and CIA did not mind.
As a community worker, I attended many Black Panther Party functions. I was part of the breakfast program. We registered many people, the African American community and others, to vote. Well, the FBI during COINTELPRO would try to turn members of the Black Panther Party against each other. Agent provocateurs were placed within the party to try to sow dissent.
I was the coordinator of the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party. In December 4th, 1969, Fred Hampton and Mark Clark, two members of the Black Panther Party, were murdered. And they put an informant, William O'Neill, planted him inside the Panther Party.
We can mourn today, but if we understood, Fred, that we are dedicated, that his life wasn't given in vain.
The National Director of FBI said that the Black Panther Party was the #1 threat to national security of this nation. And that created the condition for law enforcement agents all across this nation to go after Panther.
The clip mentioned some of the things I had been talking about, but it is powerful to hear it come from someone who went through the experience. Another piece of work I got a chance to look at was more about the FBI's actions to break up the Panther Party. I want to specifically focus on the violent acts caused by the FBI. One mentions, although the claimed purpose of the Bureau's CONTOPRO tactics was to prevent violence, some of the FBI's tactics against the Black Panther Party were clearly intended to foster violence, and many others could reasonably have expected to cause violence. For example, the FBI efforts to intensify the degree of animosity between the Black Panther Party and the Blackstone Rangers, a Chicago street gang, included sending an anonymous letter to gang leaders falsely informing him that the Chicago Panthers had a hit out on him. The stated intent of the letter was to induce the Ranger leader to take reprisals against the Panther leadership. There's more examples I have on the screen right here. I also mentioned Cleaver earlier, and I also got a chance to see FBI documents talking about him. The text is hard to see, but wording like enemy, militant, and other harsh words are used to describe Cleaver. It's easy to see why violence was so prevalent with this. In the show Snowfall, Alton Williams, Franklin's dad, is a former Black Panther himself. One of the biggest things that bothered him during his time with the Black Panthers were the FBI informants that infiltrated the party. He even killed his own cousin, Jack, for being an informant. When Alton learns that his son is helping with an FBI agent, he warns Frank about what these people really want. Here's the powerful clip from Season 3.
Hey. What's up? Young Paisley.
You were young, but how much do you remember about my cousin Jack?
Jack? Remember y'all both moved west together, joined the Panthers together, and got killed by the police.
The FBI, but yeah.
I also remember he was around less and less after that.
What I never told you was why he was murdered. He was an informant.
Jack was a snitch, but you told me he'd been gunned down, that he'd been done wrong.
And he had. He had been funneling information to them for months. And they must have felt like he outlived his usefulness. And when they decided that, they killed him. I'm telling you this now because your mom told me about your relationship with Reed Thompson.
Okay. This ain't the same thing. FBI, they was trying to destroy the movement. I mean, Reed Thompson, he needs me.
Mm-hmm. Got you out of prison, he needed you so bad. But what happens when he doesn't?
Listen, I got people coming to me every day, Alton. He just another motherfucker that need to be dealt with.
No, he ain't. A gangster, you'll spot him coming at you a mile away. But if this man is United States government, he will destroy you and everything you know, and you will never see him coming.
It is clear throughout the show that Franklin and Alton do not have the best relationship. Alton has been through a lot as a man, from being a former Panther to becoming homeless and abandoning his own family for a while. This makes Franklin feel some sort of animosity towards Alton for leaving him. This clip shows me a bunch of different things. First of all, Alton does not want Franklin to put his trust into people who work for the U.S. government. Although Franklin may think that the CIA and FBI need him, Alton knows that this very thing is what dismantled his own party. A main theme of my presentation is the fact that there is a hatred towards black people from the government. We see this from the exact fact that the FBI and CIA created CONTOPRO to eradicate black groups. Alton realizes that the government at this time is not looking out for his people. Alton is trying to convince Franklin that although his relationship with the informant is good, he knows how this ends. We also can look at this through a father and son standpoint. Alton does not want Franklin to turn out the same way as him. With the path that he's going down, it is becoming extremely dangerous for Franklin. I think this is the most powerful clip when it comes to the connection between my thesis and Snowfall. Alton knows what the U.S. government's intentions are with black people. Franklin has yet to realize this, but Alton hopes that his words make him rethink who he trusts. That is my presentation on how I believe an important part of black history was torn down by the FBI and CIA. I hope in the future the education system starts to look at the Panthers in a more positive light. Doing research on this topic and texts from this class have absolutely opened my eyes to what the Panthers did. Thank you.